is Dan Hook and Evan Barker coming to you from Hook Outdoors here, located on Cave Run Lake here just outside of Moorhead, Kentucky, the muskie capital of the South, and an ever more popular crappie fishing destination. This is our podcast this week of Get Outdoors with Hook Outdoors. This is the week before Memorial Day weekend. A lot of stuff going on around here. Been some tournaments the past couple of weeks, and we're going to get into talking about some of that and kind of talk about what these fish are doing. And after we get through with our lake report, we're going to discuss night fishing as this summer grows on us here and the temps warm up. We'll talk about in detail, if you will, some things that we do here locally as far as night fishing, and I think it works pretty much about everywhere. But we'll get right into it. Right now, Cave Run sets at 730.4 feet of elevation, which is basically 4/10 of a foot above Summer Pool, which is 730 feet. There is an inflow of 134 CFS and an outflow of 50 CFS, which is pretty much just a trickle out the spillway there. Enough water to fish in, and a decent little amount of current in the river. Makes for good kayaking and paddling and canoeing, but and the fishing's pretty good, but no big water anyway as far as that goes. The water temps in the main lake and the spillway are pretty much mid-upper 70s. Your O2 runs anywhere from 7.2 on the main lake to the spillway's running about 7.5 to 7.5, which is pretty rich. Got a pretty good level of oxygen in it. I guess we'll start off with the crappie fishing. For the last 2 weeks, crappie fishing has been really hot here. One caveat to that is there's no consistent depth to them. I'm hearing everything from 4 feet to 22 feet. The most consistent thing I'm hearing, besides they're on the wood, is the steeper banks. They don't seem to be finding them in any kind of a flat area or anything like that. It just seems like the steeper banks that have either a bunch of decent laydowns or that have some standing timber available there. And live bait minnows have been going out the door rather quickly here. We've probably sold more minnows here in the last 2 weeks than we probably sold in the last month, at least on paper. Anyway, that's what it appears to be. Been a lot of catfish action here lately, here in the main lake and the spillway. Seems like they're hitting on a little bit of everything from prepared baits to live bait, chicken liver, that sort of thing, cut bait, just a wide variety of baits. I know a lot of local pay lakes are kicking into gear now. So, and even in the spillway, this water's warming up, these fish are getting active, and it's just a really good time to be here at Cave Run. And for that matter, a lot of lakes are getting really good, but me and Evan were kindly biased here, being homers, so to speak. But the catfish are doing really good, and the muskie bite, to be honest with you, up until the last week, it had been pretty slow. But the last, let's see, today is Monday. This is May the 20th. Today is Tuesday. Sorry about that. May the 25th. So probably Sunday. I know one of the local guides caught a really nice 50, and I know there's been several big 40s caught, but it's primarily been a jigging deal, your Bondi type baits and that kind of thing. It's from what these clients and stuff tell me, it's slow and monotonous, but if it puts a fish in the boat, it's worth it. So that's really about all I've heard about the muskie fishing. Now, as summer wears on and the water warms up, it'll go to more of a trolling bite overall. But the downside to catching these muskies this far south in the heat of the summer is you have an extremely high mortality rate. You're going to have a hard time catching that fish out of deeper water, bringing it up and getting hooks out of it and having a good live release. So that's the only downside of that. The morning bite isn't as tough on them, but now these midday fish, if you catch them, it's really hard on them as far as that goes. But there's been a good bite here on those about the last 5 to 7 days or so, something like that. And Evan's going to jump in here and he's going to tell us what these bass have been doing here lately. And but first we're going to hear a little word from our local Morehead Round County Tourism Commission, and then we'll break right into what Evan has to say and continue our discussion about night fishing here at Cave Run.
Hi friends, it's Joy Brown with Morehead Rowan County Tourism. I'd like to invite you to visit our community to fish, hike, bike, explore, and so much more. We're home to the musky capital of the South, Cave Run Lake, Morehead State University, and the northern terminus of the Sheltowee Trace National Recreation Trail. To find out more, check out our website, visit morehead.com, or give us a call at 606-780-4342. Remember, there is always more to Morehead.
Yeah, so the bass here at Cave Run, they're getting into the latter stages of the spawn, and really I think as of now, there's more fish in the post-spawn stage right now. But, I'm still hearing of a few people seeing fish up shallow, on beds and things like that, and, a few fry guarders, a few males up there guarding the eggs and the fry and all that stuff. So there's a good mixture of fish to be caught right now, from the Friends of Cave Run, the $10,000 tournament last weekend. I can tell you that the fishing's a little bit tough, but there's still several fish to be caught. Everyone that I talk to, I talk to several of my buddies and guys that are reputable sticks around here. They're saying they're catching a lot of fish, but they're just not catching many big ones. Mm-hmm. So, and that was the same way with me this weekend in the tournament. I caught them all day long. I just didn't get that big bite that I needed.
What was the primary bite? I mean, was it, were you offshore? Were you up close, topwater?
I was fishing offshore. That's, when it gets to this time of year, that's just kind of what I like to do. I know that the fish are coming to me, whereas if I'm fishing shallow, the fish are leaving every day. Mm-hmm. So, which, that kind of goes both ways. You seen what happened this weekend. I didn't get the big bite that I needed, so maybe I should have zigged when I zagged, but yeah. Who knows? There's a good bite, though. The grass is starting to come up really good.
Yeah.
We're getting, anywhere, just looking, especially on my electronics, I graphed a lot of grass everywhere on the lake this week.
Right.
And I found that anywhere you have the depth zone of about 6 to 9 feet of water, mm-hmm. you're going to have about 2 to 3 foot of grass in it. So that's a really good sign that the grass is going to be good this year. Right. And we're also getting a really good, population of bank grass started this year.
Yeah.
So that when I say bank grass, I'm basically, when I say bank grass, I mean anything 3 foot or less, up around in a pocket or
mm-hmm.
maybe up
mm-hmm.
on the main lake bank or something like that. Mm-hmm. Just shallow grass. That's what I'm kind of referring to as bank grass. Which the fish really live around it. It's getting to that time of year where the fish are really eating on bait. The shad spawn's going pretty good right now. I've seen it. I've seen it for about the past 2 weeks. The shad spawn's
wondered. I knew
good.
The water was really starting to warm up. I was going to ask you if that had taken place yet.
Right, and the shad will spawn up there, and a lot of people think that they just spawn, on rocks and stumps and hard stuff and docks like that. But a lot of times when the shad have grass around them, they'll spawn on that grass too. Mm-hmm. So that kind of takes them away from the bank a little bit to where they're spawning in the grass. So first thing in the morning, your best bait's going to be top waters, being a popar, a spook, mm-hmm. A buzz bait. Those are all really good. And, as the day goes, the grass bite should be getting really good as every single day progresses. Usually when Cave Run has good grass here, the grass usually is better than the brush piles. Not saying there won't be a lot of fish on brush piles, mm-hmm. but you can kind of do both ways. You can fish deep and you can fish brush piles with a shaky head, a jig, things like that. Or you can fish up in the grass and, kind of fish around the same stuff, drag a Texas rig through it, mm-hmm. Swim like a worm or something like that through mm-hmm. it, and you can catch a lot of fish doing that.
Okay. Did you see the video on social media the other day that somebody had taken, I guess, over here at Scotch Creek at the marina of like that big shad ball?
I did.
That,
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
and those weren't small shad. I mean, those
No.
were big
Oh,
shad.
yeah, those were 4 or 5 inch shad, every one of them.
And I've been questioning the shad population here, but of course I know that's just one school of them. But man, that was a big one.
Just
it sure
looking,
was.
kind of backtracking a little bit to the crappie fishing, just from looking at live scope and all that stuff this weekend. Like I mentioned, I was fishing offshore brush piles and all that stuff this week in the Friends Cave Run tournament. I seen a ridiculous amount of crappie on brush
I
piles.
was going to ask you.
I
You've got
seen
that new
a
live
lot.
scope deal, and I talked to some of these other guys, and they said it's really changed their whole fishing world
It
for 'em.
makes crappie fishing just literally it's just a video game.
Really.
I even caught several. I think I caught 3 crappie bass fishing on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just using my live scope. I'd be
Wow.
I'd be fishing my bait over the brush pile, and I'd get, it was a light bite, and then I'd set the hook and I'd get it to the boat, and it'd be a 9-10 inch crappie, and I'm like, wow. Well, I caught.
Can you?
could have kept them crappie.
I'm not.
Had a good little
I mean,
supper.
and you can like really. I mean, you see them.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I'm
you-
looking
you-
at them. Yeah, I can
That's
get my
crazy.
boat, anywhere from right at the boat, straight under the boat, to 60 feet out in front of the boat.
Yeah.
And I can just stare at a brush pile, and I can look at a school of crappie over it. I mean, it's just, it's just, it's
Can
an
you
ama-
tell
it's
the
an
difference
amazing tool.
between a crappie and a bass?
I've got to where I can kind of base it off the size of my bait. So like when I fish with live scope, I watch my bait the entire cast. So if I see, like, say I'm fishing like a big jig or something like that, just something a little bit more bulky, which I mean, a jig still isn't that big, but just something in that profile.
Mhm.
And if I see the dot that's next to my jig is about that same size, or or similar to it, I can pretty well guess that it's a smaller fish, more than likely a crappie.
Right.
But when I see a big dot or something like that come
Right.
out, most of the time I'm assuming that's either a bass, or I mean, you never know, it could be a catfish or anything like that. But
Sure.
when something comes out chasing my bait, and it's relatively bigger than the size of my bait, and I'm looking at it on live scope, I'm assuming it's a bass. So it takes a little bit of time to use it and get used to it and figure out what things are and what
Right.
to look for, and messing with your sensitivity and all that stuff. But I've spent enough time on it now to where I can get a pretty healthy opinion about it, and it's a really good tool. It is, for especially for crappie fishermen. It's almost unfair for the crappie in this lake, really.
Yeah. Well, folks, that's kind of the tail end of that as far as what's going on with the lake and everything here. One thing I might add, if you're planning on coming to Cave Run this weekend or any of the upcoming weekends, just keep in mind that it is a recreational lake, and basically the warmer it is and the sunnier it is, the busier this thing gets on Saturdays and Sundays. Fridays aren't too bad, and through the week it's a great place to be. But on the weekends, especially if you're coming fishing, you can get here early, and it's not so bad. But if you're going to try to come here and fish at 2:00 on Saturday afternoon, unless you're going way up the river or somewhere like that, then you kind of need to rethink. And that kind of segues us into if you are fishing on the weekends, and that's the only time you can get to fish. The nights are really good here, and we're getting to the time of year now to where the nights are warm, the water temps are coming up, these fish are moving past this post-spawn deal, and I think starting to settle into their summertime patterns where, they go deep during the day and come up shallower, in the evenings and the nights and things like that. And, the night fishing can be really fun and really productive too. It's really my favorite time to fish, honestly. I just, especially this time of year, these warm summer nights, the bugs can be a little bit aggravating,
Right.
but that's just part of it, but honestly, even with these new lights and stuff they have, the bugs don't seem to be the problem that they were, say, 10 years ago. But Evan, what are your thoughts on just general night fishing? And a lot of it pertains to here.
Night fishing, Dan's right. It can be really productive. The lakes, especially around here, are a lot less pressured at night. So whereas really going in terms of like all the joy boaters and jet skis and things like that running around, you don't have that to deal with. So you can get out there and you can just kind of have the lake to your own, just you and the other fishermen, and you can really just kind of focus on the fishing. Whereas, in the daytime you got all those people running around and all that stuff and everything like that.
Mhm.
But in the nighttime in the summer, the fishing it gets really good. It's better, really, especially on Cave Run. We'll talk specifically about Cave Run. The night bite in, say, really starting right now all the way through about August.
Yeah.
The bite is going to be way better at night than it is during the day.
Yeah.
And really, what happens there is, I'm not really that well versed in night fishing, but I can give a little bit of 2 cents from what I've done.
Yeah.
The fish, they move up shallower at night, and they move up, especially here where we have a good population of grass. The fish move up from, say, if there's a group of fish living on a brush pile or something like that, or right on the edge of a flat or something like that on a drop off during the day. They might live out there deep, say 15 to 20 foot of water. But at night, they'll move up onto that flat that they're living next to,
Right.
maybe into 5 to 10 foot
Yeah.
of water up there,
Yeah.
shallow in that
Yeah.
grass. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where they'll live at night. And really, what their main purpose for going up there is feeding. That's why any fish moves up onto a flat or anything like that, is because they're there to feed. So some of the nighttime baits that are really productive around here is it's a classic bait, the big one bladed Colorado knocking spinner
Slow
bait.
rolling a spinner bait.
Yep.
Just a basic black and red.
Black and purple. I know a lot of people throw black and purple.
And just that black nickel blade, it just, I don't know, man. You just run it through there almost just fast enough to where you're not dragging it on the bottom.
Yeah, just just
And
enough to get the blade to turn.
Just enough to get the blade to turn. And even if you're making contact with some rocks and some things like that, that's even better.
Right.
And it is just, man, there's times it's just a magical, Lord, I've given myself coaches. It's just a magical thing out there. And you can just work these flats over, and some of these big long points has maybe got a stump or two or some kind of something that these fish can relate to. You don't have to worry about finessing as much because it's dark. These fish, I don't think they're as easily spooked at night.
Right. I think that's kind of my thing too. You fish shallow at night.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. Some people still fish deep, but a lot of guys, specifically when they're throwing that spinner bait, they're going to be fishing shallow. So I don't think that they do get spooked that bad, because you got to think during the daytime, the sun, especially as clear as the water's already getting here, the water at Cave Run right now looks like August water. I mean, it's clear bath water.
Man, it is. It is clear as
There's
drinking water.
over 6 foot of visibility in the lake already, easily 7, maybe even 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But you got to think during the daytime, that sun is just penetrating down through the water, and they can see that too. They can see everything down there. So if there's a fish in 4 to 5 foot of water right now, where that water's so clear, it's just like us sitting in a lit up room.
He knows what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, before you're going to do it. And I just think at night, they're going more by sound.
They're using their lateral line
and everything and I just love, and the we talked about the big spinner baits, but a big old 8-inch zoom mag lizard on a Carolina rig with a big clacker, about a 1 ounce sinker, and just dragging that sucker along. I mean, it's pretty slow and deliberate, but it produces fish. It just does. And the colors don't have to be real fancy like, daytime fishing in this clear water. And golly, you're fishing these little neds and all this crazy stuff on 2-pound test braid and all like that. And, these things here, I mean, gosh, you can throw 25-pound test mono with a big leader on it, and you don't have to be an
throwing a big 10-inch mag trick worm or something like that.
You don't have to be you're not finessing it. I mean, to me it's true power fishing.
It is, yeah.
And it's very forgiving. If you're a novice angler, I think the night bite is the way to go, because I think it's a lot more forgiving, and you can get some hooks and some fish that'll really boost your confidence,
Right,
and that's
yeah.
just what I think. And certain times of night, well, I'll say maybe dusk or just as it's breaking dawn. That breaking dawn is just about the favorite time. I mean, like buzz baits and top waters, and of course now you can fish. A lot of guys will fish like some kind of popper or something, even in the middle of the night.
Right, yeah,
and that
I've heard
kind of
about that,
thing.
yeah.
But especially as and I'm not talking like 5:30 or 6 o'clock daylight. I'm talking more daylight when it's like that 4:15, 4:30, when it's just creeping in,
Yeah.
just barely. When it's just starting to get a little bit lighter, and the temperature, the ambient air temp, tends to drop about another degree or two right before it starts going back up.
Yeah.
And it's usually pretty calm out there,
Oh, yeah.
and you don't have
Slick,
all
calm.
these day boaters and jet skiers and
The lake's
all
like
this kind of
glass,
stuff.
yeah. Lake's
And
like glass.
and it's just I mean, it's my favorite time to fish. Gosh, I'd rather get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go out and knock 3 or 4 hours out as to fish in the heat of the day, or even fish 6 or 8 o'clock at night
Yeah.
in the summer, especially when it's hot. But the Carolina rig, I know that's old school, but
But
gosh,
it still produces.
that's the thing. Like the night fishing, you don't have to be fancy with it.
Right.
And there again, I think you can use old school technique, but these new electronics can increase your odds that much more.
Right, yeah.
You can get out there at night and you can see these fish, and you can be more of a predator than just trying to trick them.
Right,
I mean, you can. I just think night
That's a
fishing.
good way to put it, yeah.
I just think night fishing gives you more of an edge. It just does.
That's the fine line between a daytime fisherman and a nighttime fisherman. Like a nighttime fisherman, they absolutely love it.
Oh,
Well,
gosh, yeah.
night fishing's either a love hate thing. You either absolutely love it or you can't stand to do
Mhm,
it. Like
mhm.
any guy like you just geeked out talking about night fishing.
God,
That's awesome.
man,
Like, yeah,
I'd rather just
I know so many people just like you that like people that are like really close to me that fish all the time,
Mhm.
and they say they'd rather go night fish and all like fish
Yeah.
in the middle of the night, go throw a big
I'm
worm and all
telling
that
you-
stuff, than they would flip bushes in the spring.
and to me it's relaxing.
Yeah,
You ain't got to worry about, like I was talking about, the day boaters and jet skiers.
you ain't got to worry about
You ain't
getting
got a
hit
bunch
by
of
a
people
jet
just
ski.
ripping and running. I mean, you can, like here at Cave Run, you can get out on them flats. And now if there's a night tournament, yeah, you got to keep your lights on and pay attention and make sure nobody runs over top of you. But for the most part, if there's a night tournament, a lot of these guys that I've fished with over the years, they're conscious of
Right.
what we're doing out there, and they're watching for other people, even when they're running and that kind of thing. But as far as just the fishing goes, gosh, man, I just love it. Sitting out on a big point at night, and here's another thing too. A buddy of mine, there's a point out here, a big long point out here on the main lake, and he would throw deep cranks in the middle of the night
Really.
and stir
Yeah.
up fish.
Yeah.
There's a deep point out here. It's across from the campground. I'll say that, and it had 2 or 3 big stumps on it, and he would rip them out of there.
Yeah.
Now it wouldn't be like a 2 or 3 o'clock bite, but about 4:30 or 5 o'clock of a morning, he
Yeah.
would always rip one out of there every time.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I just think, and I think the thrill of it for me is, you stick a hook in something, and it's dark. I mean, you can't.
You just don't know what it
and
is.
you don't know what it is. I mean, for all you know, you might reel up and there be a daggone water snake about 6 foot
Right.
long.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
And I don't know. And it's just, I just like it. I think for a fisherman like me, it simplifies it and kind of levels the playing field, especially for tournament fishing.
Right,
Because to
yeah.
me, it boils down for me more of just finding the fish.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I guess that's true for any of it, but I've just always had more confidence at night. I've just always thought if I can find fish at night, I can make them bite. Whereas daytime fishing, I mean, you can be looking right at them on your live scope, and
Oh, I know all about that.
Yeah.
It happened to me a bunch this weekend. Trust me on that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just too overconfident in it, but I just I just like it. But we've kind of went down a rabbit hole here. But it is pretty basic. Big single bladed spinner baits, big plastics. These 8-inch zoom dead ringers. These 10-inch power worms and 10-inch old monsters, the 12-inch power worms, these 12-inch zoom mag, I think they're mag 2s, and they make a Magnum old monster.
Yeah.
That's 12. But you can get away with that, and I read an article the other day. There's guys now that are fishing these big worms on basically an oversized shaky head.
Really, yeah.
Stands
Oh,
up like that.
yeah.
I don't know about all that, but I'd do it. I mean,
Right,
I'd
yeah.
throw it out there and see what happened with it. But we're getting the time of year now to where this night fishing is really, it's just real, and it's not just the bass fishing.
Right, that's what I was about to say.
I mean, there's the crappie
the
fishing
crappie
here.
fishing's stellar. at night.
You get you some floating lights, and the thing of it is typically at night, a lot of guys I know at night that crappie fish, they've got a spot, and they put their lights out, and that's where they stay. They don't run around. I
Yeah.
mean, they just tie up, and that's where they're at for the evening, and they catch good crappie. And a lot of it's main lake fishing, which is pretty nice. You don't have to worry about trying to run up beaver after dark. Although the new buoys are in now, folks,
Right, yeah.
and they're in from the mouth all the way up to the Longbow Marina. They're supposed to give them the final inspection tomorrow and make sure everything is on course and where it's supposed to be. But I know several people that have run from the mouth up to Longbow and haven't had any issues. And they've also reset the buoys off of that going into the Leatherwood Creek and the Leatherwood boat ramp, which is pretty nice. But yeah, not just the crappie fishing, but I know there's a certain group of guys that come here and catfish at night. They do the jugs and the limb lines, or they just drift fish for 'em. I know some old boys, they've got a really nice bass boat that they fish tournaments and stuff in, but then they've got an old beater fiberglass boat that's probably 30 years old, and that's their catfishing boat.
Yeah.
And they got all their stink bait and all everything, and it's just nasty. But they'll come out here on a Saturday night in late June and July and August, and lay out all night and come in here looking like they've been beat to death, and just have coolers full of catfish.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know. I just think a lot of people are missing out by not in this hot weather making more of an effort to fish at night.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what I
me
think.
too. I fall in that same playbook right there. I don't really night fish that much. It's something I'm absolutely gonna get into this year because I know how good it can be out here at night. So I'm gonna try and learn it. I'm gonna fish. I'm really gonna try and learn how to night fish on this lake.
Like now, Evan alluded to the big tournament here now at Cave Run is the Memorial. The Friends Cave Run tournament. And rightly so. I mean, they do good things with that, raise a lot of money and so forth. But back years ago when, I was Evan's age and so forth, they had a couple of big tournaments in, but they were all-night deals.
Yeah.
They would fish from like 8 at night till 7 in the morning and have, 100 boats.
Yeah.
And I don't even think anybody does an all-night deal anymore.
Not that I know of, no.
And I'd be curious if you could get anybody to fish it.
Right, yeah, that's tough. I mean, Ryan, it's tough enough for me, and I mean, I'm 18 years old, and it's tough for me fishing, a 14-hour day in the daytime, running, daylight to dark.
But
fishing,
now,
it's
like
tough.
these poor boys and these guys, I mean, they fish till what, about 2 in the morning?
They fish till 2 in the morning, and then speaking of that poor boy, the first poor boy of the year, I think it's the first night tournament of the year on the caves this Friday.
Yeah,
this
Okay.
Friday, first night tournament of the year.
Okay, well, Brian Davis, that little shout out was for you. Davis Bass Busters, they put on a really nice tournament. I don't know what their schedule is this year, but like Evan said, this is their first one coming up. It's not a real big entry fee. Good bunch of guys to fish with. Good bunch of guys that run the tournament. So, you know, if you're interested in, you know, dabbling in the night fishing bass tournament world, that's a good place to start. So, yeah, that's good. That's good. I like those guys. But you know, we're just getting the time of year to where, you know, I just think the nighttime is the time to be here at Cape Run.
It really is.
You know? And it's not just the fishing. I heard the other day there's someone, I don't have any information on it right now other than I know they've got their permit and their insurance. But stay tuned, folks, because someone is starting a nighttime a bow fishing guide service.
So that's my neighbor.
Is it
Jared Brown?
Okay, I don't know. I just heard that they were going to do it.
That's my neighbor right there. Yeah,
Awesome.
He takes it really seriously. Jared's
Awesome.
Jared's a real good guy too.
I know. I know from what I've heard. I guess he's got his permits and his insurance and everything like that. So, folks, that's a pretty neat deal. I ain't worth a hoot with a bow, but I don't really know as if that matters. But from what I've seen, just on watching videos and shows about it, it's a pretty neat experience. You know, and as many gar and as carp as there are in this lake, you'll probably get tired of shooting because this thing is silly with them here.
It is. It really is.
But you know, folks, it's just a time to get out here. It's a time to it's time to be enjoyed. I mean, you can really do something here at night. You can really catch a lot of fish here at night, and even the spillway. You know, the spillway's well lit. It's a pretty good place to go. They've got facilities there and everything. When I was a kid, you know, my dad and my uncle used to take me and my brother down there. We'd go fishing. Gosh, where we live so close to it, we'd go. Got 3 or 4 nights a week, so you know it's pretty good. It's just this place is set up well for night fishing. I think. Well, Evan, have you got anything else to add? What's your next tournament coming up? Do you have a BFL coming up?
I would have that BFL on Cherokee, but where I've got the high school state trap shoot, I don't think I'll be able to fish that BFL, which is kind of unfortunate. But I guess you only get to participate in high school stuff once in your life.
Yeah, so you might as well do it this year.
Well, it's one of them things. Yeah, I'll be able to fish Mountain Division BFLs for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
so.
Sure.
But other than that, would be weekend after next, June 5th. As of now, we're still going to the Ohio River, going out to Craig's Creek. That'll be the second to last.
What tournament's that?
That's the Eastern Kentucky SAF High School Series. It'll be our second to last stop there.
Okay.
I was going to be at Cumberland this weekend, but I got informed yesterday that they canceled the tournament due to Memorial Day, which that's a good call. That's a really good call because Lake Cumberland, if you don't know, it's a tourist hotspot.
Especially where you guys are going out of there at Halcom's Landing,
right there at the dam.
That.
That's the biggest end of the lake. So, Lake it's a tourist hotspot. There's gonna be boats. I mean, thousands, not even lying or exaggerating, thousands of boats running around everywhere. Yeah, I think that was a really good call on them. They're wanting to reschedule it at some point, so I don't know when. Right. But it'll have to be before the week of June 26th. That's really the only thing right there. They have to get it in before that. So it'll be somewhere in that ballpark. I'm looking forward to getting down there.
Well, all right, folks. I think we're going to wrap it up here. But I think the fishing's in full swing right now. The water's warming up pretty good to where the fishing's really good, but we're not too far into the summer to where the heat is more of a hindrance than a help. So, you've got a window here, folks, to get out if you want to fish and really, really do some good, catch some fish, get your confidence built up. But even if you're not fishing, the weather's just getting really good. Hit a trail, go camping, just, get out there and enjoy it. And as we always say here, folks, just get outdoors with Hook Outdoors.